7 o'clock. We'll start the meeting. We're going to quorum. The first thing on the agenda, I sent an email around. There were minutes from the Greenwood roof project. If I have a motion to approve those.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
April 15th,
Greenwood
2021.
roof for the April 15th.
Yep. Jason second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Is there any objections to the minutes being approved? Hearing none. It's unanimously approved.
And now we can approve the minutes from,
Yeah, well, wait a minute. There's one other thing in Greenwood. I also sent an email that Anthony had sent, is that you may recall 2 weeks ago, they were talking about working on a final bill for PMA and that to indicate their work that's going to involve in the closeout. He had not finished that work yet. And sometime next month, they should have that. They are looking now for closeout of the project of Greenwood to hit the October 27, 2021 Board of Directors meeting for the MSBA. So that's October, not August. He was originally doing August, but it says
yeah.
take some time. All right.
And what does that mean for reimbursement to us? Anything? I mean, do we just have to wait that much longer?
Yeah, I think we just have to wait that much longer.
Have we gotten any payments from them?
I am not aware of any.
Okay,
No.
so it's a one-time, one lump sum
I assume that's
reimbursement.
Yeah, after it's all been approved, they probably just send one lump sum.
Okay.
All right.
Can I ask a question? The timing that changed, is that relative to MSBA pushing us along? Or is that us delaying getting paperwork to them to be get on the agenda? Like, how do we make sure that doesn't keep on happening?
It was delaying getting the paperwork for the August meeting.
PMA.
Okay.
It's in PMA's hands.
In
Okay.
PMA's hand. There
And
was an
they're
email that Anthony
Yep.
spells it out that I attached to the minutes.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to read it, Joe. I'm sorry. I
That's all right.
did
Don't worry
see it.
about
No offense. Sorry, man.
No,
Okay, just they know that they need to get that in for the
they have
next.
to do various revisions. They go back and forth with the MSBA and they just didn't think it'd get done by the August meeting.
So I suggest that we put their final payment in when that is submitted to the MSBA.
Yeah, and it's not going to be until beginning of it until next month.
Right, but so I don't see any reason to pay them anything more on their payments. Even though they want it, we can submit it. It doesn't mean that we have to pay it.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
All right. That's all on the Greenwood. The second agenda item quickly has to do with the high school. Just to let everybody know that on Monday, this Monday, May 3rd, the high school project will be before the MSBA for approval of our selection of left field as the OPM. That'll be at 2:50 p.m. on Monday. I'll report to you what occurs. Steve is going to be on, myself, Bob Shirley from the school, and obviously left field.
And
Well,
Joe,
it's
that's a
well,
public meeting, right?
Yes.
Could you send everybody the link to it in case they want to watch?
We had to send the link to the MSBA. I'll find out if that's correct to do so.
So
Okay.
it's Shane here. So I have to send the list of attendees to MSBA tomorrow, and then they'll send me the Zoom information. So I'll just check.
So it's not a public meeting?
I'll double check. I believe it is, but I'll
but
double check. Yeah.
the reason he's sending the names of the people so they can be panelists and speak, you would be a participant and just be in the background.
That'd be fine. I'd just be curious to watch if I'm available.
All right.
We can send you our presentation to them as well. We're going to have one more meeting on it tomorrow morning before we send it off to MSBA.
All right. And if you send whatever you link to the members of the committee, if they wish to attend as participants, isn't that great?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will do. Yeah.
That's at 2:50 on Monday. The other thing is I had a discussion with Chip, also with Lynn, regarding the possibility, and I want to get everybody's thoughts on this as well, as having some kind of public forum for the town on Zoom in next month in May, to give just everybody get an understanding of what the process is and what we're going through, so that the townspeople have an idea of the schedule that we have to abide by, and essentially, how long it takes, so that people don't keep asking us, when's the high school being built? Next month? So I just want to get everybody's thoughts on that.
I think it's a good idea. Level set everybody.
I
Yeah,
agree.
the more information
Yeah,
you
I
give out
agree.
to the public, the better they feel about it. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I talked to Lynn, and we can do it by Zoom, and they can, raise their hand or chat if they have questions. Lynn and Shane will, we'll put together a little short presentation on the schedule and what the things look like. And I was looking at the calendar and just preliminary, Monday, May 17th or Thursday, May 20th. I don't know what day people think is better, or a Monday.
Is
or
there,
Thursday.
I would look and not conflict with a school committee meeting night.
That's why I picked Monday and Thursday.
What are they night?
Tuesdays.
They're Tuesdays? Okay.
Yeah.
I would do it on a Monday because I don't think there are many town meetings on Mondays.
No, and that's a Monday that the town council, I don't think, will be meeting. I mean, I kind of looked at their schedule to see if that's the case. Tom, maybe Tom, do you know, is there
Which date are you looking at?
the 17th?
17th of May.
Julie, do you have a meeting on the 17th? No, they don't. I'm asking Julie right now, so.
No,
she's
I
right
mean,
here.
that's why I asked you. And by the way, tell her congrats.
Yeah.
I will. Congratulations from everybody.
Inside scoop.
Good to have this connection here. Okay, so I think the Monday works better, just because I don't think there's too many other town meetings on that day usually. So I'll try to aim for the 17th. We'll try to put something together. Okay.
Well,
And then
will
how
that-
do we? Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Chip,
Oh,
go.
sorry, no.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, like, will that be recorded, and that would be, is that something that gets replayed on television, or
Yep.
to keep it? How does that work in projects like this? Just my first time around, so I don't know where
Far
the
as
stuff
what?
goes.
As far as
Well, it'll
what?
be a public meeting, right?
The public
It's
meeting,
open,
it gets recorded.
so it gets
It'll get
Are you-
posted and advertised for the
Oh, it's not
public.
just like it's not just like a informal informational sort of thing. It's actually a public meeting
Yep.
posted.
Yep.
Joe, Are you gonna try and do it through WCAT and actually have it on the TV?
I'm gonna talk to them.
Oh, okay,
I don't
yeah,
know.
that's a good idea.
I mean, they
And
put them
how,
all
and
in.
how else would it be publicized?
We'll put it in the item that.
Town website item,
Yep.
things like that.
Any gap for misinformation will be filled in quickly if we don't jump ahead of it. So any and all would be for any information on this project.
That's why I thought it might make a lot of sense to do it.
But that's a good question. How are you gonna get the word out that it's available? Just through?
I would think go through the school, so have
yeah, we could have-
superintendent put it out.
Yeah.
We
have the
can send
superintendent-
out flyers at the
Yeah.
school and.
Well, at least
send
you'll
an
catch
email.
everybody who's in the
There's a
school
weekly
system.
email that goes
That'd be
out
good. That's who
from
most
the
interested.
administration, from Doug Lyons to all the parents of all the students, so.
Yeah,
that would be
very
a
good
great
idea.
avenue to
Okay.
send it.
And I think we should call it, public forum number 1, process, discussion on process of the MSBA process for the new high school. Something like that, and then we can kind of quantify these meetings as we have them, quantify the public forums as we move forward, public forum number 2, public forum number 10, whatever, and what the topic is. And then that way, people will be like, oh, I missed the last 3. I wonder what's happened in those.
Yeah, and then they can look back and figure out. which one
Right.
they missed easy.
Right. I mean, that is the one nice thing about the town website now. You can go back and find any meeting because they've all been recorded.
Yes, that actually came in handy when we were filling out the OPM stuff for the MSBA, because I couldn't remember everything that occurred at one of those meetings. I had to go back and look. Not that I wasn't paying attention. But Okay, so we'll work on that for the May 17th then. All right, is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. That's assuming that left field gets approved on Monday. So, I mean, you know, let's.
Good luck.
Assume that. Yes, good luck. Yes. All right. That's
Public safety meeting minutes.
Public safety meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the public safety meeting minutes from April 15th.
I'll second the move.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, are there any objections? Hearing none. Vote was unanimous. Shane, I made you the co-host. So if you wish to proceed.
Hey, Shane, one thing
Yeah.
before you start, just because I'll forget to ask before, as you get going. At some point, can you send out the full budget that you guys did, the full schematic design estimates, not just the overview?
I can, yeah, the, from Bond and TCI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Send those. Okay, so you jumped ahead of me there. We've already done the meeting minutes. Thank you. So jump straight into our budget. I sent this out earlier on today, so hopefully some of you folks have had, or all you folks have had a chance to look at it. We got the schematic estimates back from HKT and Bond on Friday. We had a lengthy meeting on Monday afternoon where we reconciled the two estimates. This is a summary of where we ended up when we had those two reconciled estimates. We are at about between 7.8 and $8 million. We're less than 2% apart. So we consider these estimates reconciled at this point. That's the good news, the only good news. Unfortunately, our construction budget is 6.715 million. So measuring that against Bond's estimate, we're about 1.15 million over budget at this point. We've gone back and forth over the last couple of days. We think this is the responsible number. This is where we should be. This is a value for the work as scoped at the moment in the schematic design documents. And unfortunately, we are over the estimate based on the 2017 study and the escalation factor that we added to that to bring it up to today's values. So I can go through, this summary. I can go through it in detail. Joe, I'm not sure whether you want to do that.
Well, how about if people have questions on it, that might be an easier way to do it.
Or Shane, I guess what the thing I'm trying to figure out are where we have. I know what our total budget is, and I'm assuming construction cost was where all the extra is. But what's the deltas between our budget that got us to 9.6 and this one? Where are the big flips?
So this is just the construction value, Chip. The construction budget in that overall was 6.715. This value here.
Yeah. So as I'm looking at that, I'm seeing that we carried
so I can jump
747,000 in contingencies, and we got 900,000. 897 if you want to just look at bonds. So there's 150,000 there.
Yeah, we should use bonds as the basis
Okay.
to compare against our budget. So the contingencies
But that's
made
two
up
different.
of,
That's two different contingencies, is it not, Shane? I think Chip might have been. I looked at the number quickly. I'm not sure, but Chip might have been talking about owner's contingency as opposed to contingency within the. Was that contingency within the?
No, I'm talking about total contingencies.
Right.
well, we have this contingency here, Chip, which is made up of the design contingencies, construction manager contingencies, and there's escalation to bring us to the bid day for this project. So that's inside the construction value.
Right. It's within the GMP.
Yeah, in our overall project budget, there's an owner's contingency, which is separate to the construction, which is this 747 here.
So are you saying we have 1.5 in contingencies?
Yes.
We do, Chip, but this contingency within the construction value, so that includes a design contingency, which right now is at 7.5% because we're only at schematic design. As the design progresses and we go into design development and we go into schematic design, that contingency will reduce all the way down to zero when we have a full construction or bid set.
So I guess my question is, you know, if we're trying to find 1.1, call it 1.2,
Yeah.
rounding up, and we got 900 there.
No, we shouldn't use that to reduce the budget. That's
But what do we think,
Alex-
what part of that 7.5? I mean, you'd like to think that these schematic designs are pretty good, right?
well, they are for schematic level, but we're still only 25% or 30% designed. We still have another 70% to go, and therefore we need to carry a design contingency for the detailed design that's going to happen in the next design phase.
So my question, not so much of cutting numbers yet, Shane, but what do we think of that 7.5%, you know, that goes down to zero, will bump other numbers that same 7.5%, so there's nothing there?
Right.
Or do we think there's a few bucks there?
We don't think there's anything there. It'll bump this construction number up, Chip, when we're able to, you know, do a detailed takeoff on stuff
Okay,
that
all
hasn't been
right, that was
designed.
my question. So you don't think there's anything there?
No, we shouldn't take anything from there. That's for stuff that hasn't been designed yet.
And typically, Chip, this is Jim, typically at schematic design, we typically carry that number of about 7.5% for design contingency. So we think that's as well as being responsible, we think it's prototypical. It's pretty much what you carry at the schematic design level. So
Okay, but I didn't know if typically, you know, then when you pumped it into the construction, whether you found 100,000 or 200,000 or not.
It's possible, but we think, given the level of the drawings now, that typically it does get absorbed. Most of it does end up getting absorbed into the construction number.
Okay.
Does this include the other repairs found in the building envelope and the structural concerns discussed there, or is this just the base scope project construction estimate?
So this is the base scope construction estimate. It includes the base foundation systems, which was the deep foundation system. You know, we did look and Bond did price the mini pile system, which would be a saving. So we'll be able to allocate that saving. Unfortunately, it won't you know, cover the full overage, but we will be recommending that we take that saving.
Yeah, and it just, you know, there's been so many other concerns found with that building as a whole that we've discussed about at a previous meeting. So, and to think that there's not going to be any money left in the base budget to touch them, it seems, because we can't even, doesn't seem like there's enough money to fund the base budget here. So I'm just making sure it's clear that there's a lot of other things going on in this building besides this base scope, it seems.
Well, we've captured everything we know of here, Phil. You know, one of the things we talked about was the exterior. You know, this doesn't include replacing all that ceiling and caulking on the fire side of the building, because that was beyond our limit of work. You know, obviously it does include any caulking and sealant on our side where we're putting in a new exterior, new facades, but not, you know, we didn't carry that all the way around the building. You know, there was other concerns that are in here. There was some of the HVAC concerns in the fire station kitchen. I think that's been addressed in the budget. So we have picked up some of those, but it's whatever we know now is in here.
The storm sewage was another one. I think there was some questions about that whole main. Is that something that doesn't really matter either way? It just gets figured out in some way.
Well, this includes, we're going to redirect the storm sewer in front of the building, because right now it's kind of where our foundations are going to go into. It's underneath the existing footpath. So we're going to bump that out into Union Street. So that's included here.
And could someone explain the difference between the owner contingency and these other contingencies? Like, well, what's the biggest difference as opposed to just having one contingency line item? Why are there two different contingencies?
Well, as I said, design contingency is there because we're at schematic design. So we carry a contingency for things that haven't been designed yet. And they will be designed later, and then they'll be measured in detail at the next estimate or at the construction document estimate. So that contingency will be reduced as we get into further design development. Construction manager contingency is typical that you carry in a GMP. That's used by the construction manager to cover any missed scope by them after they buy the project out. So that would be included in the construction cost in their GMP, but that's to cover any of the CM misses, if you like, any overages when they buy out the scope in the subcontractors, and any unforeseens for the CM that he should have included that he didn't include. And then the escalation is just in there to allow for any price increases from the day of the estimate up to our bid date in October, November.
And Shane, I
Again,
think
that will reduce as we move forward to the bid date.
I think also you're asking about the owner's contingency and the external construction contingencies that's in the total project budget, right, Bill?
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
The 747.
Right.
Yeah, the 747, right? That one. Yep.
So that's an owner contingency. It's controlled by the owner. That's to pay for any unforeseen change orders when we do get into construction, due to coordination issues, unforeseen issues that aren't in the construction documents. And that owner contingency would also include any additional costs that we haven't accounted for in the soft costs, in the admin, architect and engineering, and the miscellaneous and the furniture and equipment budgets. So
you've seen it in our total project budgets in the past, and we typically separate it into an owner's contingency and a construction contingency. Whereas Shane said the owner's contingency are used for any sort of soft cost changes that you want to make, any consultants you might need or whatever. Whereas the construction contingency is used for change orders to the construction contract.
Okay, that's what
And
I was
I can tell you,
thanks.
Phil, in the past, we've had some ad alternates and things like that, where as the project goes on and there's money in the construction contingency, that we use it for those type of things. We've been very, as Lynn shakes her head, we've been very creative in the Galvin and other projects and making sure that all that money's spent.
Is it a percentage of the total? How do you come up? Is this part of
Right
the
now,
estimating?
Right now, it's a percentage.
We a little less than 10%.
10%. Okay.
Which we think is the right number for a complicated renovation like this.
Okay, thanks. Sorry for the
But
delays.
what you'll enjoy, Phil, is the lively debate as to whether it's an owner's contingency or a construction contingency when they ask for things.
Well said, Chip.
And it's always the construction contingency, right?
I didn't even know the owners had a contingency.
They didn't. They don't even have one. Not in my view.
Okay.
It's all on them.
They should have known.
Yes. We
Our
experienced
favorite
this,
phrase.
for everyone, we experienced this at Galvin practically on a monthly basis as to this debate. And I don't think Dave would want to remember, or Dave Capaldo would remember all of those.
That's why Dave's hair is the way it is.
I used to have a full head of hair before we started, Calvin.
So did I. Okay. Yeah.
So Shane, I mean, I guess you did a little bit of update on what you thought possibly caused the 1.1.
Well, Yeah, we looked at what we thought was driving up that cost. Obviously we took a budget from 2017, we tried to escalate it, and we added some stuff in, and we escalated that, and we did a few other things. So, when I looked at the side by side based on the 2017 and where we are today, these are some of the factors I think that certainly drove those costs up. We all know it's a very complicated, project, and that's why we've hired a CM rather than go design, bid, build, and I think there's definitely value in that. So, but that has driven the cost up a little bit. The scale of the project and the market conditions, we talked a lot about that on Monday. At the reconciliation, it's not a big project. We're not sure how big the pool of subcontractors are going to be, and in particular, the pool of trade contractors, which we're required to do under the mass procurement laws. So there was a bit of a factor in the unit rates that we used for some of the trades in that lack of competition. I think we underestimated some of the scope of feasibility. One of the big things was all the mechanical systems. Replacing the rooftop units, the chiller, the air handling unit. We probably missed the scope on that a little bit, and that cost has increased.
So you went and created a list of things, to eliminate or not eliminate or think about.
Right.
Have you put a dollar value to any of these?
We've started, Chip. We didn't think we were in a position to present it tonight, and we're going to add to this list as well. So we're going to work with Bond and HKT to get you a better list and come up with some detailed pricing that we think we can pull out of the budget, bring it to you guys, and see. Some of these will be no-brainers. Some of them will be, maybes, and some of them will be absolutely not. We can't take it as a price reduction. So we just thought until we've had some time to put some detailed numbers together, we didn't think we should bring that to you tonight.
And Chip, some of these can be taken as alternates. If the bids come in favorably, we can accept them, or at least we'll have pricing that we can add them on as change orders later on as we, feel we can release contingencies.
Hey, Chip,
That's what I was
I'd
thinking.
love to walk through them and
Yeah.
think about them. Particularly, I'd like to have a conversation with Chief Scory.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I think, as I said, we put this together yesterday and this morning. I agree. I think some of these we need to talk to the chief.
So these are just numbers. These are not what you would think is number one, number two, number three.
No, these aren't in any
These are just
particular order.
items.
Yeah, these are just items. You've gone through the
Okay.
estimate to look at what we think we can cut back, what we think we can reduce. So these are just sort of spitballing for now. We'll come up with a longer list, more detailed list, and we'll put pricing to all of those.
Okay, so I think we should, rather than even get into a VE discussion tonight, is kind of let you, Joe, if you don't mind, I'll take, and you can jump in anytime if you think I'm going down the wrong road. But rather than even getting into a priority list or anything else, I think they should come up with a potential VE list with VE
Numbers.
pricing,
Right.
and then have a meeting and conversation about priorities and where it goes.
Yeah, that's exactly what, when I spoke to Jane earlier, I spoke to him on Friday and on Monday and Tuesday of this week. This was the suggestion that he come up with a list of things that we can talk about because of the numbers were coming in higher than we had hoped. And as he indicated, they haven't gone through the detail yet, and that's exactly what I want to see done. Let's get some numbers for it and have a discussion with the chief and everybody.
yeah.
And then we can prioritize those VEs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Jason?
Something else to think about. I mean, I'm not sure what the possibilities are here, but things like the chiller, the boilers, AHUs, RTUs, maybe that stuff could fall under general maintenance budget for the town as opposed to part of the construction budget. I'm not sure if we have an option to do that, but.
Yeah, we can give them to Phil for the capital outlay, can't we, Phil?
Yeah, wait a minute, we have
No,
what, 2 million a year out of about $8 million in asks, so
Right,
it would get
well,
thrown into that pile.
Yeah.
But that is an option that we have to look at as well.
It is.
It is.
I know we don't want, Chip, I agree, a great suggestion. I just have a question about number one. At the working group, it sounded like the mini piles was the preferred and better option. Like when it comes to a big scope change, like something like that, like, is that something we can just make sooner than later and get it off this list?
I think, yeah, that will be, we already have a price back on that. It's around $100,000. And I think that's something we're going to recommend that we do. And we just move on. We let the engineers get to work designing the alternate system. So
Yeah,
that'll be
we agree with that. We agree to go to the piles. We've had some extensive conversations. So
All right, well, the whole committee has it. Maybe if you can give us an overview of it.
go ahead, Shane. You want to try stay?
Yeah, sure. So we looked at the foundation system last week. We had a working group meeting. I think a couple of weeks ago when Janet went through the schematic design, we talked about the geotech report and some of the stuff they found there. They found some unsuitable soils under the ground, which meant that we had to do a deep foundation system. We had to go down, we had to over excavate below the foundation, the bottom of the foundation, between 10 and 12 feet, and then fill that back up with suitable structural fill before we could do the foundations. There was a concern brought up that if we have to over excavate, there's a huge risk on that. If we're estimating it's 10 to 12 feet now, what happens if it's really 12 to 16 feet? It'll increase the cost. And also you can't excavate straight down the width of the foundation. You have to over excavate for safe working conditions, which
You'd
would
be halfway out into Union Street.
Yeah, so we would require, an expensive earthwork support system. We'd have to underpin the existing building to make sure that we didn't have any settlement or any damage to that. So we got on a call with the working group, the geotech engineer, the structural engineer, Bond, Janet and her team, and we went through the two options. Another option was to do a mini pile system, which will eliminate the need to over excavate. And we thought it would save money. So because we'd already sent the information to the estimators, we asked the estimators to price the base one, which was a deep foundation. At the same time, Bond did take a look at what the cost to do the mini piles would be. And I think everything from schedule to risk to price is leaning towards doing the mini piles. So it's about $100,000, and we'll recommend that. The engineers are on board, the design team, the CM and the OPM are on board for that. But we didn't put it in the estimate because the estimates had already gone out to the estimators.
That's good. That's good. You just found $100,000. Yeah. Nice job. You only got 9 more to go.
Mhm.
That'll be required in the next 9 weeks. $100,000 a week.
I think then, Shane, when you lump some of these together, if you could kind of think of, if we look at the base project as being the ability to create a better space for the police department and more space and whatnot, and not necessarily take care of all the deferred maintenance that hasn't happened in the building, i.e. the RTUs, the air handler, the chiller, and the boilers, and leave those in a separate situation by itself. That would be helpful for me to think about. Right.
Yes.
What's the deferred maintenance that is being put into this project because we let it go?
Yeah, we can categorize these as items that can be added back in as perhaps add alternates that can be added back in as a part of a maintenance program in the future. And some of them, if we take them, they won't be able to be added back in. So we'll categorize those as well.
Good. Yeah, and until we have numbers, I think having a conversation about priorities doesn't really help anything, because we could have a priority, eliminating the fume hood might not be all that important to the 1.1.
Right, and again, that's why we want to talk to the police chief and the fire chief on some of these, because we don't know if that's really required. We don't know what, I think that's in the detective's lab, if they'd actually use that. Or if they if they absolutely have to have it. So that's.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear those conversations. So my thought would be to create the numbers and then have a meeting basically to talk about VE and prioritize it.
Just a quick observation, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
As far as, I don't know, my experience working in a public school, there's $1 million right there.
Probably
be.
close to it, Phil.
Yeah.
It's only $500,000.
Yeah.
Wayne,
Children-
Wayne, some of these
Wayne.
will be required to be done. You know, we
No,
don't
but
have a
just from a-
choice and others will not, you
From
know,
a
so,
deferred maintenance standpoint,
yeah, right.
Right, and
You're
to
correct.
Janet, to that sense,
pretty surprising.
to that sense, it may be a discussion with Mr. Mayo and whatnot of how it might be funded outside of the project.
Okay,
Not a question of that it has to get done. It's more of a question of how we might be able to fund it within the worlds of the town. And not, Phil, don't panic, not everything has to come through capital.
There's-
The town used to have an extraordinary maintenance budget, which is probably long gone, but
All right, any
We'll-
other
we'll see.
questions? Any other questions regarding the estimate and the potential value engineering options, et cetera? All right,
So I was going to suggest that we get together as a working group on Wednesday and bring this back next Thursday. Unless you want to wait 2 weeks, but I think we will probably be able to bring it back next Thursday.
well, that was the next question I was gonna ask. Are people able to get the numbers by next Thursday?
I think, Dave, we've already started it.
Dave?
No problem for us. We're ready to go.
Okay. Janet?
yeah, I was gonna say Jerry Tortora is on our call. Jerry, could you confirm that you can work with and get some numbers by next week?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, great. He's TCI, by the way,
Okay.
estimator. Okay.
Thank you.
So there'd be a working group meeting next Wednesday to discuss some of the options, and then we'll also discuss, we'll have a meeting next Thursday, correct?
We'll bring the full list on Thursday night, yeah.
All right.
Then
What
just,
time's the working group meeting gonna happen?
I think we do it at
2 o'clock.
2:30, Chip.
2:00.
2:30?
Yeah.
2:30, whatever.
On Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I just, this is all important stuff, so I mean, if you guys don't mind rehashing it after you've had the working group meeting and then going over all your decisions and how you got there, that would be great. And maybe even in that working group, you could do some of the prioritizing.
I think that's what the purpose of the working group will be, to talk to the fire chief, the police chief, prioritize stuff. And we have to go to you with, what's.
So
what's
I guess,
desirable.
I mean, I guess that my discussion, Shane, is that's a conversation that I think the priorities and their opinions are something that I'm gonna wanna hear. And I
Sure.
think that the whole committee should hear those. So I'm just don't be shocked if there's a lot of the same questions that you go over in the working group that are gonna have to come to the whole group.
Sure, I would expect that.
Yeah, okay.
We've been starting those working groups at 2:00.
Yeah, it's usually at 2 o'clock. I'm good with 2:30, but 2 is the normal time.
It's 2:00, yeah.
I prefer to.
I keep up with my meetings.
Okay, it'll be 2:00 on next Wednesday, and then we'll meet again on 7:00 next Thursday, all right?
That works.
That's Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
So you'll have
Phil, we'll have
the,
to take that one from Tequila's parking lot.
right,
Oh.
you're gonna, yeah.
We met on St. Patrick's Day. We're hitting all the
All the key holidays.
TBC's hitting all the holidays.
Just wait for the 4th of July, we'll be all set.
So next, I included the overall project budget. Again, this is a summary. It's carrying our budget there. There's been no adjustments to anything based on our reconciled estimates. I had the detailed breakdown just showing what we've spent to date. Again, it's just been design fees and OPM fees to date, so that's in there. But I'm not sure if anybody wants to go through that, but there's been no changes, only to the amount spent to date on the overall project budget.
I guess what I'd ask Shane is that we just really look at the miscellaneous project costs of 160,000 and
Yeah.
understand that to, you know, it's easy to, you know, how much of that is real versus, you know, I think it's pretty accurate, as well as the FF&E, how, you know, how, is
Right.
there any money in any of those worlds that can be put into construction? And possibly FF&E can come out of some budgets too. We've done that in the past as well, where,
Right.
you know, a couple FF&E things have been, sorry, Phil, capital.
We purchased them at the end of the project too, before, you know, when we looked to see how much contingency we have left.
Yeah, so I think it's just, you know, by the way, I'm not shocked at these numbers one bit. I'm upset because I think that we did this to ourselves by taking another year to look at this whole thing and coming back with the same exact project. So I'll get out of the corner and stop crying, but the number didn't shock me when it came in.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll take a look at the overall budget. I have been talking to Scott Rubelo, Lieutenant Rubelo, about the dispatch furniture. He's working with a company to try and tie down a cost for that. So we may be able to take something out of that FF&E budget based on that. But we'll take a good look at that before next week too.
Great.
Are there any other questions? Chief Scory?
Just sitting here getting a little nervous, that's all.
That's
Other than that, I'm fine.
I just wanted to see if you were still okay.
No,
Only,
I
and
did
Steve,
stop breathing a couple of
Chief, if
times.
you're only a little nervous, we're okay.
I did stop breathing a couple times, but I'm back.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't get the defibrillator out, okay?
This is, not having gone through it, Chief, this isn't unusual. This happens in almost every project, so we'll get through it and you'll get a place you really like.
It is, I want to comment, it is an extraordinary time. This, you know, everybody that we've talked to, you know, what happened during the pandemic and post, it's pretty extraordinary for putting cost estimates together. So it's even got a little edge to it, Chip, beyond what's typical. So,
Yeah.
You know.
Lynn used a term I haven't seen in the last 13 months is favorable bids. I have all sorts of projects. I'm seeing unfavorable bids. So I'm remaining hopeful for this project though. So, but it's been pretty crazy out there.
It is.
Okay, thank you. And then we've scheduled some upcoming meetings, so I'll send the information out and the meeting call in for those next week.
Sounds good. All right.
The meeting is May 6th, right?
Yeah, 7 o'clock, May 6th for the whole building committee, and the working group is on the 5th.
Okay.
And then,
yep, Chip.
if I can just ask Lynn one question, who's gonna, because I think you and Shane are pretty busy, who out of your group or is gonna start thinking about the public outreach and the meetings and stuff like that as we websites and, you know, getting going on that stuff?
Well, Linda, which you guys met, is going to help us, but all three of us will be working on that. And we have some other.
I need you
people
guys
in
to
the
find
office.
1.1 million. Jim, hire somebody to do your public stuff. Get it out of these guys' hands. If there was one weakness you guys had, it was in this world. You can't have Lynn and Shane doing the public meetings and trying to find us 1.1 million.
We'll bring in additional resources, Chip, to help with that. Absolutely, man.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
So
There
Linda actually has put together a website that it's just not quite ready to go live yet, Chip, but we are working on it. And Linda has put the website together. I just need to talk to her about what content goes up on it and when. So
The
that
public
website
safety?
is,
I just,
Yeah.
we should probably review that before it goes public.
Right,
yeah, well, that's, yeah, obviously.
that's for the
Well,
public
not
safety.
necessary. I mean, we don't have to micromanage everything, Shane, just
Yeah.
90% of it.
Jane, is that the website for the public safety building?
It is, yeah.
Okay, and they're also, well, hopefully, after next Monday, there'll be one for the high school as well, I assume.
We'd also started that as well, yes, so that'll be ready to go shortly after Monday.
I mean, and I just look at how busy Shane, and this is more for Jen than for anything else, how busy the two of you are gonna be. It can't fall into your laps. Cause it's
Mhm.
gotta be high end and out there and for your benefit as well, to put your best foot forward.
Totally agreed, Chip. But if we need to bring in even a third party, website consultant, whatever it takes, we'll make sure that it's not the focus of these two, it's the focus of somebody else.
Good.
Love that idea, thanks.
Yep.
All right, anybody else? Craig or Chief Sullivan, anybody?
I'm equally nervous as
Okay.
Chief Scory, just to put that on the record.
All right, good, good. As long as we have that on the record.
Yeah.
Craig,
I'm
you're
just
calm
not
and
saying
steady,
it.
right? All right.
I'm good, thanks.
All right. All right, anything else? Anybody from Bond have anything? Hearing none. All right, so the next working group meeting will be Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
2 p.m., yeah.
And our meeting Thursday, which I think will be starting to get really important issues to discuss on next Thursday. All right, so I hear a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, click leave meeting. All right, take care, everybody.